By being honest with yourself. You gotta really go into a place where you start really like pushing yourself emotionally to understand where you're tricking yourself. Where are you tricking yourself? The amount of times I see kids like yourselves roll up on me and say, Gary, I'm gonna buy the Chicago Bulls. You're gonna buy the Jets, I'm gonna buy the Bulls. And I could taste it in their sentence that they know they can't. The place where it really works is when you stop peacocking and posturing to yourself as a measure to make yourself feel better and bigger, and actually are just comfortable with what you are, you get really into your state. This was what's so great about my life. You're a failure, you're gonna be a garbage man. And I was just like, I just like selling stuff, you know? And I don't care that everybody thinks that I'm not a lawyer or a doctor or an executive, like I'm happy. And if that makes, you know, I was a pig in shit at 27 making $70,000 a year, pumped. Working every day at a liquor store, helping my family, like flow's easy once you stop lying to yourself and once you stop trying to impress others with the shit that comes out of your mouth.
Love that.
Right, and then back to your point, I've seen a lot of people that use flow to get there, but then they're in new places and then they stop. They were confident enough to get here, but now that they're in like this upper middle class of society, that's when they start posturing. Because they're like, they thought they were good, but this person they just met has a yacht. And they're like, yo, they feel lesser than, and they can't keep their flow because they stopped doing the thing that got them there. The thing that got them there was not giving a fuck, but now that they got this new place, like something changed, because they didn't even realize shit got that crazy up here, and they actually do feel insecure.
Yeah, awesome. Nate.
Hey Gary, I'm Nate. I'm really curious about the value of new experiences and trying new things. What's something new that you could try in your career that you hadn't done before and ended up having an impact on your trajectory that you were expecting?
I started to deploy candor one-on-one, not just in settings like this. Candor was very hard for me, team. I really struggled with confrontation and being the deliverer of bad news. And so it completely changed the trajectory of my career. I started realizing everything that wasn't working for me professionally and personally was based on my ability to be candorous. And so about 3-4 years ago, I started getting better at it. I still struggle with it. I'm still maybe a D+, C-, C. I'm on the way, but I was in F land. And from F to C has like fucking been remarkable. And the impact is I'm well on my way for the personal and professional, you know, accomplishments that I want for myself. And so I've gone, in the macro, what it's meant is I've gone from A to A+. Because that's where I was getting fucked up. Everything was so good anyway, kind of, sorta, that it was like hidden, that this was like, when you're living an A life, and I am, it was hard to see that there was something to get to A+, and I had to go through some painful things professionally and personally to get there. I think I balance it all by not judging myself too harshly. I think that's really where it starts and stops. I think way too many people have lost the work-life balance before it even started because they're gonna be critical on themselves regardless of it, right? It's so hard to balance. And so for me, I just know I'm doing the best that I can. And if I'm doing the best that I can, that in itself has put me in a position to succeed. And some days that means that I have to choose my family time on a Friday night, or Sunday morning, an executive ran into me on Saturday and asked me to meet for coffee and wanted to jam, and I just couldn't. You know, I couldn't because of the family time, right? And so that's the family being chosen. Other times I'm, you know, flying and speaking somewhere or meeting, having a big meeting, and I'm missing, you know, some sort of like school function that I don't want to miss. And that's the other way. And the truth is, I just don't beat myself up. All of us are trying the best we can. And so as long as, you know, nothing is glaring, and to me glaring is the following. My kids have become completely horrible people and have major problems in society, and or I go directly out of business in my businesses, as long as neither one of those are happening, I think it's gonna be okay. And so I think it's how you judge how you're balancing way more than the reality of it. And recognizing that you have a different point of view on it than your partner, than the kids, than your business associates. And I think you need to care about your point of view on it first and foremost, while being empathetic to everybody else's points of view.
Awesome. That's a really good answer. I know that, yeah, it's hard to try and not judge what you're doing and stuff like that.
That's the game, right? That's like everybody could be failing at work-life balance if they've decided they're failing at work-life balance.
Okay.
So as long as you're not, as long as your spouse or your partner isn't saying I want to break up or get a divorce, and as long as your kids aren't like eating pine tar, and as long as your banks aren't coming to foreclose your business, you're gonna be okay. And I think people are freaking out. Like, I didn't even see my dad until I was 15, and I love him and we have the best relationship. Like, there are people who've had their fathers walk out on their family and they didn't see him for 15 years, and now they have great relationships because they've reconciled. Like, people are way too judgmental and overanalyzing work-life balance in today's modern PR society. And so if you feel good about it, then you'll win. And I think not judging yourself too harshly, because it is hard to balance everything, because that's life. And I don't aim for perfect. I'm not interested in perfect. It's not real. Perfect is fake. And so I just live.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. It feels better, right? It feels better to look at it that way.
Yeah, I said it's hard, and I said with little kids and stuff, it's like mommy's not here, daddy's not here, and that's kind of all they see. As much as they're involved, it's just kind of hard some days. And
they're tougher than you think. How old are they?
3 and 8.
3 and 8. Tell me anything you remember of being 3. Go.
Not much.
Interesting.
Just being in a hospital. That's
right.
about it.
And you know what? When you really as long as you're counterbalancing it with love, and one of the biggest things, all these parents judging people. Meanwhile, they're around because they work 9 to 5. But if they're not deploying love and are in it from 5 to 9 every night and on the weekend, what are they really accomplishing? Just because you're there doesn't mean you're there.
Right. So do you, when you do have your family, like you said, when you have your family time, you just kind of say, that's family time, and that's kind of non-negotiable. Yeah, and that might be different times, but.
Yes, and sometimes it, most of the time it works out, but sometimes it doesn't, right? Like, sometimes I can get distracted, and I'm just not willing to beat myself up if I decided to go down a rabbit hole for an hour on a Sunday when I should have been all in on the family. That's just gonna happen. Like,
Right.
This is about not beating yourself up and knowing where your intent and your efforts are, and also knowing life's a long game. So, in 2-3 years, when I'm taking my kids on business trips and traveling with them and showing them the world, like, that's where the benefits have come from some of the sacrifices. And I don't know, I think everybody, if they had the option of, would you rather have had your parents around every minute from 1 to 5, but not be able to do all these amazing experiences with them from 11 to 18? Versus the alternative? I just have a funny feeling all of us would raise our hand and say, I'll take that 11 to 18 shit. And I plan on dominating that, and some of the sacrifices I have to create between 1 to 8 is something I'm willing to do, and that's my strategy, and I don't give a fuck if some parenting blogger says that I'm not spending enough time with them. Fuck you. I love people so much at such a weird level. The fact that it's kind of weird, I'm thinking it through. At the airport, pre-Garyvee, I would just roll up on people and just start talking to them. I'm weird like that, in the best way. I wouldn't weird people out. I would find, I'm good, I have good intuition. I could see where I could get into a combo. Post-Garyvee, it all comes to me, so that's good, in a way, right? But, I don't like when people treat me different because they know that there's something going on with me, because I'm uncomfortable with it and I don't need it. I don't need a free appetizer. I don't need to cut a line. So, the good thing is I can make people happy.